So I know this is completely abstract. I'll give you an example for me as an ENTJ. Many of you will say I'm an INTP or INFP. I don't think anybody actually said I'm an INTP, but I've heard INFP and ENFP. It's funny because I don't know why. Actually, I've tried to ask, but they don't know why. Because INFPs, and ENFPs, their ego function, one of their ego function is introverted feeling, which I almost practically never use actually. So it's funny to think that I'm an INFP or ENFP since I don't care about FI. Doesn't mean that I don't have values, it's just that I don't spend any second of my time thinking about them, which means that FI is really low on my stack. Anyway, it's not about me, it's about INTJ versus ENTJ. And what was I saying? I was saying that, oh yeah, an example. I'll give you an example of me and supposedly ENTJ, if you, for the sake of this video, at least, when I have this urge for extroverted sensing that happens. And when it happens, I don't want it to happen, but even if you repress it, it's part of yourself. It's still gonna express itself. You're not gonna control, because you can control what happens. For example, if I want to pee at this moment, I'm just gonna pee. I can't control. To some extent, you can, but there is a moment where it just does what it has to do. So what happens when the SC just kicks in is, for example, as I said, it takes the first spot, so I don't think anymore. The TE shuts down. And for example, there is this car, it's not car, what is it in English? It's the bus. You have the bus, and the bus is about to go, and I'm about to miss it, so I have to run. The T would just say, you just wait for the next, you're just gonna miss 3 minutes. It's not a problem. You just have to wait 3 minutes, and the next one will come, and you will just go in the next one, and it will be all right. But the SE, it just kicks in, and you start to run, and you don't know why, but you have that rush of energy, and you just run, and you tap on the window, for example, and it actually happened in the past. And when I retrospectively think about it, I wonder why I just didn't wait for the next one, just wait 3 minutes and you take the next one. But this is, I think, the expression of the third function, extroverted sensing. So as I'm not an INTJ, I can't give you an example of the tertiary introverted feeling that kicks in, but I guess it would be something like, he just takes the phone and he talks about something that matters to him or to a certain person, It could be something like that. So that's it for the second difference. Okay, so the next difference is the inferior function. As you probably know, and this is something that I think most authors or bloggers or whatever agree on, the last function, the fourth function, the inferior function, is a repressed function. It's part of the ego. I mean, it's part of the four function that you use, but you don't like it as much as the three others. So what that means is that 95% of the time, no, I would say 100% of the time, you just try to avoid it. You try to avoid it at all costs. I said about the tertiary that you have this urge of expression, And to some extent, you like that urge. You like that urge. Because it's the third function. You don't completely repress it, you know. It expresses, you don't really like its expression, but at the same time, you don't really dislike it. Neither. But the fourth function, it's not something you really want to express. For example, for INTJs, I'm gonna start with ENTJs. It's easier for me because I'm supposedly one. ENTJs have inferior introverted feeling. If you think of dominant introverted feelers, what they do is they hold very strongly a lot of internal values and feelings about things. They have so strong bonds with these feelings, you know, and they would do nothing to betray these feelings. Now you reverse that completely, and you have TE dominants who basically don't care at all about these feelings, and if they could, they just would like to erase them from their personality. So what happens when you completely repress a function and it doesn't even have the possibility to express itself like the third? What happens is that you overuse the first function. So when TE dominants repress FI, introverted feeling, they overuse TE. It's logical because they are on the same axis. There is a certain balance between them. When you have 90% of this one, you have 20% of the other. When you have 0% because you completely repress it of the other one, you have 100% of, in this case, TE. And what happens when you overuse TE is that you become completely oblivious to other people's emotions, of other people's motivations, of anything that actually makes you feel anything for other people. So you will hear some ENTJs who are gonna say, I don't care what they think. I don't care at all about people. I don't care if he gets killed in the process. That's where the stereotype of the ruthless CEO comes from, because they completely repress that part of themselves, which is the only part, actually. Because if you look at TE, it's not oriented towards people. SE neither, and NI neither. So FI is the only component of their psyche which can consider people as people. So if they completely repress FI, they overindulge in TE, and in that mode they will ignore other people's emotions, and also ignore their own emotions, which is a very important part that most people don't talk about. But they will work for no reason sometimes. I mean, they will work for a certain reason. For example, they will want to gather money, or have a big house, or something like that. But they won't care about, if you ask them, why do you want so much money? Why do you want this power? Why do you want all these things? They will not really have the answer, actually, because they repress introverted feeling. Introverted feeling is the reason why you do things. It's in the psyche of ENTJs. Introverted feeling is supposed to be the function that gives a reason to the functioning of the three others. It's the oracle of the functions, you could say. So you go to ask introverted feeling, and introverted feeling says, it's because I feel this, it's because I want this, it's because this means something to me. And when you completely repress introverted feeling, then you have no meanings. You just do it because you just do it. That's all. And this is really unlikely for INTJs. INTJs almost always have a reason, because they don't repress introverted feeling. As I said, sometimes they have this urge to express it. So they always have a reason for what they do. While ENTJs, sometimes they just do it for power. They don't know why they do things, actually. And they can have a childish FI, you know. They're gonna say, oh, it's because you treated me badly. But the person is gonna say, I didn't treat you badly. Because, you know, because they are so afraid of people attacking their weak spot. Even if they don't care about this weak spot, it's like, to some extent, they care, but only when it's attacked, you know? And so when you attack their weak spot, their introverted feeling, they're gonna defend it very strongly, you know? How can you say that? How can you say that about me? I protected you, I did that for you, you know? And the person is gonna say, hey, I didn't do anything to attack you. Just calm down. That's because the introverted feeling is inferior, so it's very weak, you know? When you attack an inferior function of a person, the person is gonna react strongly because it's weak. So you have this duality. At the same time, you don't care about the function, but to some extent you care about the function in the cases where you have to protect it. So I think that's all for ENTJs. I'm not sure. Yeah, and what happens sometimes with the inferior function is when the person is completely unhealthy, and I said completely unhealthy because the third function, the expression of the third function, I've talked previously about the expression of the third function. This is not an unhealthy mode. When the third function expresses itself, it happens like 10% or 15% of the time. It's not an unhealthy mode. So when you're completely in unhealthy mode, which happens hopefully very, very rarely, the last function takes the place of the first function. And for ENTJs, what's gonna happen is they're gonna completely lose all control on their extroverted thinking, and they're gonna feel weak, and they're gonna feel not in control of themselves. They're gonna call into question all the things they have said in the past, all the things they have thought of, they're gonna think. It actually happened to me. I'm talking from experience here. When my introverted feeling, when I was really unhealthy because things happen to you in your life that put you in a situation where you feel very bad, whatever.